my name is Ellen, and today I'm going to be showing you guys how to play Summer of '69 by Bryan Adams, as voted on by my patrons on my Patreon page as this month's patron picks. So if you want a little bit of voting power in the songs you see me teach here on my channel, make sure to check it out. I will link it down below. Here's a quick overview of everything I'll be covering in this tutorial today, and with that being said, let's go ahead and get started. Alright guys, so you only need to know 7 different chords to play through this song, and we're going to start with our D major, which looks like this and sounds like this. And by the way, if you don't know how to read these chord charts you're seeing on screen, I do cover how to do that in my free beginner series right here on YouTube, so make sure to check that out right there. The next chord is our A major. Then we have our B minor. After that is our G major. And then for our chord change in the middle of the song, we've got our F chord. There's also our B flat. And our C major. And those are the only 7 chords you need to know to play through this song. Alright guys, so go ahead and pause the video and take as much time as you need to really memorize these chord shapes, as well as practice transitioning back and forth between them, because it'll make learning the rest of the song so much easier for you. And if this is a skill you're currently struggling with, I do have a practice with me playlist right here on YouTube where we go through this skill in real time and build it up together. So if that's something you think you would find helpful, I will make sure to link it in the corner here. But once you have these chords under your belt, then we can go ahead and talk about the strumming that I would recommend for this song. Alright guys, so as always, if you are brand new to playing guitar, or you're somebody who struggles with playing guitar while singing at the same time, the first thing I would suggest doing is to bring up the song and go ahead and play through the entire thing with a single down strum on each chord change as you sing through the song. And you want to take this time to really just get used to what word or what syllable you're on whenever those chords are changing. So here's a quick example of what that would look like. I got my first real 6-string, bought it at the 5 and dime. Played it till my fingers bled. It was the summer of '69. Alright, so that's just a really quick example, but you would essentially want to do that for the entire song and just really make sure you know where those chords are going to be changing. And this is actually something you do right now if you check out my Patreon page. I do have this entire guide available to download and print out, so I'll make sure to leave that link in the description box for you. But once you've done this and you're used to where those chords are going to be changing, then we can go ahead and add to this single down strum to make more of a full strumming pattern that you can use for this song. Alright guys, so basically I have 2 different strumming patterns to show you that will both work for this song. And I'm going to go ahead and start with the one that I think sounds a little bit more accurate, which, as you can see at the top of the screen, is just all down strums. So we're going to count this in an 8th note rhythm. So it's just going to sound like this. We have 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and down, 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 down. Alright, so all down strums, fairly simple. And what we're going to do is we're going to apply this pattern 2 times per chord. And so one thing I want to kind of mention before we move on is if you listen to the song, you can definitely hear there are some accents in there. So what I would recommend doing is accenting the first beat and the and of the 2. So I'll go ahead and turn those arrows green. That just means we're going to accent them. And what I'm doing there is, let's say for instance on my D chord, what I'm going to do for the accented chords is I'm going to strum the entire chord, so all 4 strings on D. And then for the purple non-accented beats, I'm just going to kind of focus more on the top strings. Okay, so we have 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Alright? So you just want to make them a little bit louder, a little more punchy than the other down strums around it. But basically, and that's totally optional, but I do think it helps kind of keep the rhythm going. So if you add those accents in, like I said, we want to play this pattern through 2 times per chord. So looking at verse 1, we're starting on our D. We have 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and twice. To A. Back to D. To A, twice. Alright, So the strumming pattern is pretty simple, but this song does move pretty quickly. So we do actually need to speed this up a little. And one thing that I do think can help with the speed up of this pattern also is to add another optional thing, which we're gonna call a palm mute. And what I'm doing there is I'm just taking the side of my hand that has my pick in it, and as I'm strumming down, I'm gently kind of resting the side of my palm on the guitar strings, just near the bridge of the guitar. And as you do that, you'll hear that it kind of dampens the sound of the strings. Like they just don't ring out as much, but you still should be able to hear like the notes, okay? But anyways, if you apply this palm mute, this can also help you strum a little bit faster because you're not really lifting the side of your hand off of the strings. You're kind of like anchoring them there. And if you add the accents in, it really does sound a lot like the original. So we have 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. All right? So if you can, try it out, add a palm mute, just like rest that near your bridge. And we would apply this for the entire verse. So let's go ahead and play through it a little. We've got D, accents and palm mutes to A, twice for this strumming pattern. I got my first real 6 string, bought it at the 5 and dime, played it till my fingers bled. It was the summer of '69. All right. And I am using an electric guitar today, but if you're on acoustic, this is the exact same stuff. You still want to apply the palm mute and add the accents in. And if you wanted to, you could apply this pattern for the entire song. So let's go ahead and take a look at that chorus. The only thing that's going to be a little different here is you only want to play this pattern 1 time per chord instead of twice. And also, if you are going to do a palm mute, I would go ahead and recommend taking it off, let it ring out a little bit more. So on our B minor chord, we've got down, 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 to A, to D, G. Oh, when I look back now, that summer seemed to last forever. All right? And so like I said, this all down strum pattern can be applied for the entire song, and you would just kind of play it like that. But going on and moving to the second strumming option, if you find that all these down strums is a little difficult or you can't keep up or do it at tempo, this one might be a little easier. So again, we're in an 8th note count, and it's just gonna sound like this. We have 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and down, down, up, down, down, up, down, up. All right, this is a super common strumming rhythm, so you might find it a little easier, but basically what we would do is the same thing. So on the verses, you would apply this pattern 2 times per chord. So again, we've got our D chord on, down, down, up, down, up twice, to A, and for this one, if you're gonna opt for this pattern, I wouldn't recommend doing like the accents and the palm muting. For this one, you can just play it as is through the song. So we've got D, down, up, down, up. I got my first real 6 string, bought it at the 5 and dime, played it till my fingers bled. It was the summer of '69. All right, same thing for the chorus. We're gonna do this 1 time per chord, but it's the exact same pattern. We've got B minor, down, down, up, down, up, A, to D, to G. Oh, when I look back now, that summer seemed to last forever. All right. But like I said, you can kind of choose which of these strumming rhythms is a little bit more natural for you. Whichever one is easier for you to kind of like do without counting in your head, that's the one that's going to be a little easier to sing on top of eventually. So go ahead and go to which one you think, you know, fits you better. What I actually like to do in my cover is I'll go back and forth between both. So for the verses, I'll do the all down strum with the palm muting and the accents. And then when I get to the choruses, I like to go to the island strum. So down, down, up, down, up. All right. So you'll notice when I do my cover, I do both of these strumming rhythms, but you could also totally just choose one or the other and apply it for the whole thing. All right guys, so again, go ahead and pause the video and take as much time as you need to get these strumming rhythms under your belt. They are both pretty common, so I would definitely recommend pausing and giving yourself some time to get used to these because you can apply them to so many other songs. If you need help with your strumming, I do have a Practice With Me strumming series right here on YouTube as well, so I'll make sure to link that in the corner. I have both of these strumming rhythms ready to be practiced right now, so I'll link that for those of you who need it. Once you get back, I did want to show you a cool little like chord frill that you can do with the D and the A chords, and it'll make it sound a lot more like the original song, and it's like not very hard to do at all. So once you get the strumming rhythm down, definitely continue and we can go over how to do the chord frills. And guys, really quick before we continue, I wanted to give a special shout out to some of my top patrons over on my Patreon page. These are people I have seen grow over time because of our monthly troubleshooting sessions or sometimes our weekly lessons. Pam, Dave, Rafa, Owl, Cynthia, Alex, I loved watching you guys grow over the past few months, so thank you so much for being patrons. And with that being said, let's go ahead and talk about these chord frills. All right guys, so there are a few parts in this song where there's like a little bit of a break, and instead of just playing your D chord to your A chord, you can actually do a cool little chord frill that goes like this. And I think it sounds really cool. It's actually super easy to do, so let me break that down for you guys. First, let's talk about our D chord frill. So we're starting here on our D chord on our left hand. And what I want you to do is we're gonna take off our middle finger, and this is gonna be our D suspended 2 chord. All right, so we're gonna go from D sus 2, and then add your middle finger back onto D. Then you're gonna take your pinky and you're gonna put that right underneath your ring finger on that E string. All right, that's gonna make our D sus 4 chord. All right, so we've got D sus 2 without the middle finger. Add the middle finger for D. Add the pinky for D sus 4. Take the pinky off now, go back to D. Now take your middle finger off, go back to D suspended. And then add your middle finger back on to end on D. All right, so we're just kind of playing around with the D open chord as well as the suspended 2 and the suspended 4. So we have D sus 2, D, D sus 4, D, D sus 2, D. All right, and that's the chord frill. So basically you want to be able to play it in time. So if you've listened to the song and you're familiar with it, you should be pretty natural with this, but it goes. So if you're someone who struggles with rhythm, I'll break that down a little bit more for you. So what I have listed at the top of the screen here are 2 measures. So we have 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. All right, so we have D sus 2 on the 1. Then we have our D on the and of the 2. Then we have D sus 4 on the 4th beat of the first measure. You're gonna hold that out all the way into the next measure. On the 2nd beat of the 2nd measure, we have our D to D sus 2 on 3, back to D on 4. Okay, so if this is all very confusing at the top of the screen and you can like hear it more than you can see it, then just go, by all means, go with your, natural gut feeling. I'm just trying to break it down for people who like it a little more mathematically. So D sus 2, D, D4, D, D sus 2, D. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay? Once you get those chord changes on the right beat, then you can go ahead and add in the rest of the strumming. So for instance, if you're doing the all down strum pattern, you would go like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay? And if you're opting to do the island strum, my suggestion for rhythm on that would be like this. Alright, so not exactly the same rhythm we were playing earlier, but if this visually makes sense to you, then go for it. We've got D2 on 1 and 2. Quick transition back to D on the and of 2, and 3, and. D suspended 4 on the 4th beat, 4 and 1 and back to D, 2 and D sus 2, 3 and back to D, 4 and. All right. So the actual chord frills I don't think are that hard but I do think that the rhythm is maybe something that people might struggle with a little bit more, but it is important to be able to play it on the correct beats in order to sound like the original song. So now that we've gone over kind of how the rhythm goes, let's go ahead and talk about the A chord frill. It's going to look very similar. We're starting here on our A chord, okay? If you take off your ring finger, that's going to be our A suspended 2. So we're starting on our A sus 2, adding our ring finger to do the A. Then for A suspended 4, I add my pinky right above my ring finger on the 3rd fret. Okay, that's our A sus 4. If you have bigger hands than me or bigger fingers, you can also just scoot your ring finger up. Okay, I just like to add my pinky. And then take your pinky off, back to A. And then we're going to take our ring finger off, back to A suspended 2, back to A. Okay, so just like with our D chord frill that goes, our A chord's going to follow the exact same rhythm. We're starting on our A sus 2. So just like we practiced earlier, if you're doing all down strums, it would look like this. Or if you're doing the other strum, it would look like this. So both of these chord frills are totally optional, but I do think that if you're up for it and you can add it into your little cover, I do think it really mimics the song a lot closer without being too much more difficult on a difficulty scale. So definitely pause and try it, and I think that if you want to use that in the interim between the verses and the choruses throughout the song, it really sounds great. But yeah, again, totally optional and up to you. All right guys, so again, go ahead and pause on this screen if you need a little more time to look over this rhythm and over these chord frills. Adding these is definitely more of an advanced beginner skill, but I think that if you feel up for it, you should definitely give it a try because it is a lot of fun to play through and it does sound a lot better to the ear as far as being close to the original song. But once you have all of your chords and those transitions and these strumming rhythms and this chord frill in, if you want to add it, then we can go ahead and put together all of the things we've learned in this video to play through the song. 1, 2, ready, go. First real 6-string, bought it at the 5 and dime, played it till my fingers bled. It was the summer of '69. Me and some guys from school had a band and we tried real hard. Jimmy quit, Jody got married. I should have known that we'd never get far. Want to have fun jamming out to the rest of this song with me? Yeah! Then make sure to check out my Patreon page. We can unlock access to this as well as all my other play along and fast track guitar tutorials. I'll make sure to leave a link for that in the description box down below. If you enjoyed learning this song with me, then you should definitely check out this video. Not only does it have a super similar sound and feel, but it's just as fun and easy to play. So I'll see you over there. Bye!